Good afternoon. I'm Bill Newman, the Lincoln County Mayor. As the corona pandemic has moved to front burner on a lot of levels of government, today as your county mayor, we will address some of the concerns for as county government services to our people. Today we have representatives from our health system, our human resource, our court system, and our education system. I would ask you at the time when you have questions, after each of those address this gathering, you could ask those questions, and if there are any at the end or other people that need to address this group, we'll be glad to carry this on as long as everyone needs a question answered. All of our county offices will remain open. There are services that are necessary for the daily activities of our citizens. We will not be closing any county offices, but there will be daily updates like this, maybe not as long as today's will be, but we will be updating people, and if there are any changes, any of the things we planned, we'll let you know at that time. There is one change. The scheduled Lincoln County Commission that was scheduled to meet tomorrow evening will not be held until we find out a good date for that we'll reschedule it. People that are on our agenda today, I will call on the first person is Courtney Sanders. Courtney is with the Lincoln County Health System. She's the Director of Infection Prevention and Control. So Courtney Sanders will address you at this time with the Lincoln County Health System.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor Newman, for asking us to come out and let you know what we're doing. We are definitely high in preparation. We did start with Donaldson Care Center. As you're aware, that is our highest risk population within our health system and really within our community is our elderly. So at Donaldson Care Center, we have put in some extreme measures. We have no visitation right now other than exception for end-of-life care. Those who are actively dying, then we will have visitors and allow family in with them. Our employees at Donaldson, every time they enter the building, employees, visitors, EMS, enters the building, then we have to go through a strict screening process that includes temperature checks and a variety of questions in order to allow them to work at that time. For the hospital, the same type of screenings are quickly coming. We will have those beginning on Wednesday, as well as limited visitation at the hospital on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, visiting hours will be restricted. There'll be no visitors under the age of 16 allowed, and only one visitor per patient, unless it's a child and both parents need to be there. We'll also begin employee screenings on Wednesday, similar to what we're doing at the care center. Those will begin throughout the health system. Hospital, home health, hospice, Patrick Rehab and Wellness, and EMS will all be doing those. We are monitoring the situation very closely. We are following the guidance of CDC and the Department of Health, and like Mayor Newman said, there are changes every day right now as far as our guidance and what actions we'll put into place.
Are there questions from anyone from the press or from the people attending for Courtney at this time? Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
Dr. Bill Haight, Director of Lincoln County School Systems.
All right, thank you, Mayor Newman, for having this press conference here today. First thing I'd like to say is, as a superintendent of schools, I'm always having to make decisions of whether it's those days where we have snow or flooding and whether or not to come to school and based on the safety of our kids and our constituents, or whether it's other bigger decisions that impact people's lives. I'll say this decision that we're having to make here, there's so many unknowns about what's happening right now with this coronavirus that it makes it almost impossible to feel comfortable that you're making the right decision. So with that being said, I read this somewhere the other day that in this situation, we may never know if we overreact, but we're darn sure going to know if we underreact. And I hate that, but that's where we are. So my team and I have been working over the weekend and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and this morning making plans. And the governor made a decision today. He released a strong statement urging schools to close until March 31st. We had already put into place plans, and we're going to close through April 3rd, beginning immediately. Now, we're on spring break now, so we have a little time to make some preparations and some plans, but Lincoln County Schools will be closed through Friday, April 3rd. We are having a leadership team in the morning where we will discuss the details of providing food for our students, providing instructional and learning opportunities for our students during this time. We've got to iron out some details and the details on how we get the food and the materials to our students. But again, we'll be working on that tomorrow morning. Another thing that we've been working on is high stakes testing is coming up in about a month. And of course, that's the last thing on our mind, and it should be the last thing on anybody's mind right now. But our kids, their final scores in their classes are tied to these end of course tests. Our teachers' salaries, tenure, a lot of things are tied to these end of course tests. Our school accountability and the designations that come from that are tied to these end of course tests. So we've been asking our legislators to strongly consider waiving those tests this year and not requiring them. The federal government, I believe, has released a document saying that they would consider a request from each state. So our State Department of Education doesn't have the authority, or at least we don't think they do. We think it's all legislature driven. So we have asked our legislators to take that up today, and I believe they're doing that either right now or a little later this afternoon. So hopefully we'll have some news about end of course testing real soon, and that stress and burden will be off of our students' backs and off of our teachers' backs, or at least we hope so. And with that said, I'd like to thank everybody. We sent out letters of information and some things to our parents and our students on Friday as we dismissed for spring break. And I thank parents and everyone for their patience and understanding, because it's been a very stressful time for a lot of folks, and with the unknowns as great as they are, we want to make sure we're being as cautious as possible. And back to that statement I started with, we don't want 6 months from now to say we underreacted. It'd be okay if we said we overreacted. So that's where we are.
Any questions for Dr. Heath at this time? Have a question from Casey with Channel 31 WAAY.
Do you think that any of the schools will continue to be closed further after April 3rd, or when will you guys reevaluate things and determine if schools need to be closed longer?
Well, the first question you ask, I don't have a clue on that. I'll just tell you right now. But we are going to meet, our leadership team is going to meet twice a week, basically, and we'll look at the status of the current situation within our community and see, across the state. And then we'll wait for some guidance from our governor, too. He's going to send out some additional information probably midweek next week regarding the length of time. I know CDC just recommended 50 or more people should not gather for the next 8 weeks. Well, in every school setting there is, we have 50 or more people pretty much. So I'm not sure.
Do you know what kind of cleaning precautions are going to be taken while kids are out of school?
Well, every year we have seasonal flu. So our custodians are trained up, and we have the materials to do the additional cleaning. Any high touch areas that, doorknobs, any computers, any area that's touched quite a bit by human hands gets a lot of extra dose of disinfectant and cleaning at this time of year anyway. As we close, we're going to have our custodians come in and do that cleaning one more time, and then right before we reopen, whenever that day gets here, we'll come in and sort of do that again and be ready for opening.
One more question for you. In regards to the test that the legislature could basically end up not having students take anymore, how would that impact, do you know how it would impact teachers' salaries or the students' grade point averages going forward?
Good question. First, on the grade point averages, right now the end of course test will count somewhere around 20%, 15 to 20% of a kid's final grade. that would just not be calculated in, and the grade that they'd received during the class time would be 100% of the grade. As far as teacher salaries, we're on a performance per pay scale, and a teacher whose overall level of effectiveness is a score of a 3, 4, or 5 gets 3 steps on our salary scale. If they're not at that level, they get 1 step. I would recommend to our board that everybody get the 3 steps in this case. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Does this include all school activities?
Great question. Yes, all school activities would be canceled, and all activities on school campuses would be canceled anytime we're out of school for this. Good question.
Any other questions for Dr. Heath?
And I want to say this too. Dr. Wilson and I worked hard together on this to try to make sure we're all on the same page, because unlike on snow days when maybe the county roads are further out and they're in the shade more or whatever, this is a situation that impacts our entire county, city and county the same way. So I think you'll hear the same announcement coming from her office here pretty soon.
Thank you, Dr. Heath.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Rawson, the Executive Director of South Central Human Resources, our next speaker. There will be a time at the end of this, I'll be giving some phone numbers and procedures on some of the things. So if you're listening or watching, please have a pencil and paper handy to write down some of these numbers and procedure. Paul, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for having me here today. I'm Paul Rawson with South Central Human Resource Agency, and again, we service 13 counties across southern Middle Tennessee, and we do everything from the Head Start program to the Meals on Wheels, which is very vital to our seniors that are out there. We also run the American Job Centers in those 13 counties, and while that is important here in Lincoln County, we had 1,600 folks with the Goodman plant closing that were supposed to start this morning coming through our agency because they had received trade assistance adjustments, which was a very good thing for Lincoln County. But the Department of Labor yesterday at 1 o'clock, they postponed that. So I did want to make sure the Goodman people who are watching this or see it later that that has been postponed, and those 1,600 people will not be coming through our agency. As far as our Head Start here in Lincoln County, it has been closed. It closes when the school system closes. Our congregate meal site where the elderly and seniors go here in Lincoln County, that site has also been closed. We are delivering, the folks who are out there watching this and you're on our meals route, we are continuing to deliver those home delivered meals, except we're in most cases we're placing them at the door and we're not going in that household, and again, this is where we can do that. But again, it's a very fluid situation, as Dr. Heath said, and we're continuing to monitor it day by day. Last Thursday, this is kind of where it all come to fruition, and our Deputy Director, Sarah Brown, who's here in Lincoln County, as far as how the agency operates, will be here to help in any way that we can. And I'll be glad to answer any questions, because South Central, we touch many lives across this area, and particularly here in Lincoln County every day. So if there's any questions out there, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions for Paul? Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Mayor.
Our next speaker, 17th Judicial District Chancellor J.B. Cox.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to come and be a part of addressing this issue today. Thank you for extending that courtesy to the judiciary here, and on behalf of the entire 17th Judicial District, not at every level for the judges, we appreciate the opportunity to be heard. After we spoke this morning, I wanted to make sure that I was within what I need to do to speak with this group today, so I have been in consultation with Judge Burke, who is the presiding judge of our judicial district for this year, as well as the administrative office of the courts in terms of this communication. And while we're at that point, people who are interested in this issue relative to what the Supreme Court has done are welcome to go on the administrative office of the court's website. If you want to use Google, you can go AOC Tennessee. That will lead you to the administrative office of the courts. You click that link, click on the website link, and when you get there, on the front page of the website on the top right-hand corner of the red writing after you get below the banner blurb on the very top, there's a headline that says Tennessee Supreme Court issues order keeping courts open, limiting in-person proceedings until March 31st on that website in the top right-hand corner. And there's also another link for important news, which is entitled Corona and Court Leadership. And there's two places where you can immediately access that type of information. It's important for the public to know that we in the 17th Judicial District believe in the system as we have it. We have, as the order came down from the Chief Justice in this circumstance, put in place an order consistent with that, where we have, for the 17th Judicial District, suspended all in-person court proceedings between now and March 31st. It's consistent with the Supreme Court's order. If you want to look at the copy of the order that we put down, you may obtain a copy of that by calling the Clerk and Master's office or the Circuit Court Clerk's office in each of the counties. They should be on all the minute books by this time, but that order is signed jointly by Judge Burke, Judge Gerard, and myself as the state trial judges. But it affects us all, and I'll lift a couple of paragraphs from the order specifically so that my communication is correct from the Chief Justice. Basically, there has been declared a judicial state of emergency by the Chief Justice in relation to COVID-19, but with the following thought process applied. First and foremost, and most importantly, the local and state courts of the state of Tennessee are in fact open and will remain open under all circumstances, subject to the provisions of the order that the Chief Justice has in place. So if you're getting information that courts are just closed down, that's inaccurate information and it's not consistent with the provisions of this order. The Chief Justice exercised his authority under the Constitution to suspend all in-person court proceedings in the state and local courts in Tennessee, including but not limited to municipal, juvenile, general sessions, trial, and appellate courts from now, which was then March the 13th, through March the 31st of this year, subject to several exceptions. The exceptions, as often is the case in the law, sometimes are as long as the order themselves. But to just give you a thumbnail sketch, those matters that relate to people's constitutional rights, especially criminal defendants, are covered. Civil and criminal trials that were actively in progress on the 13th of March are covered, and most other abuse situations are covered by this order, whether it be elder abuse, child abuse, other emergency proceedings that need to come in front of the court, and specifically otherwise order of protections. And also the Chief Justice has reserved to himself the opportunity to look at exceptions that are brought before him on a case-by-case basis. So the courts will be working. The presiding judge of the Judicial District is authorized to determine the manner by which this is going to occur. There are ongoing conversations between Judge Burke, Judge Gerard, myself, and all the General Sessions judges who are involved as to how this proceeds. We intend to try to use all means necessary and available to us to try to conduct the court's business, but to do that in light of the safety and consequences that are associated with a potential outbreak of the virus. We have that responsibility, and the court has acknowledged that we hold the core constitutional functions as our responsibility, and that also belongs to the clerks of the court. My thought process is that they would remain open, consistent to that mandate by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and that is that it is in fact a fluid situation. Further looking at the order, if it becomes necessary to close judges' offices or clerks during the period of suspension, the offices will remain accessible by telephone, email, or other possible means during regular business hours. Basically, the court here is trying to make sure that we don't have large numbers of people gather in a place where transmission of COVID-19 could occur. Other things that are important is this. The order expressly does not prohibit court proceedings by telephone, video, teleconference, email, or other means that do not involve in-person contact. And it doesn't affect court's considerations of matters that can be resolved without in-person proceedings. So the business of the court will go forward. As a relief to lawyers and litigants, there's also a portion here that's important for you to understand. Deadlines set forth in court rules, statutes, ordinances, administrative rules, or otherwise that expire between the 13th of March and March the 31st are extended through April the 6th by way of this order. Statutes of limitations and statutes of repose that would otherwise expire during that same time frame are also extended to April the 6th. Orders of protection and temporary injunctions that would have otherwise expired during this time frame are hereby extended to April 6th by the Supreme Court's order. We in the 17th Judicial District are trying to do our best to be respectful and obedient to the orders of the Supreme Court in this circumstance, but as we stand here today, we intend to try to do the business of the court as best we can while following the Supreme Court's guidance and orders.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, thank you.
Any questions for the Chancellor?
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you very much.
Chancellor. At this time, the Fayetteville City Mayor, Michael Wisnat.
Thank you, Mayor Newman, for for inviting me to come over and speak today. I'd like to state I have City Administrator Scott Collins with me in the audience today. I've been meeting with him on a daily basis over the last week as we've evaluated. All of our city services are running. At the moment, we do, starting today, we put it in place, limited access to the municipal building. We'd like people that want to pay their city taxes to go to our city website, FayettevilleTN.com. If they have an issue with that, they can call 433-6154 and talk to the people in the office for an alternate access to that. Recreationally, our AYSO Soccer League has postponed their schedule at the moment till after Easter, and they're evaluating that. The baseball and softball is suspended till later in April at the moment too, as other surrounding Little League establishments have done the same thing. So our police and fire, public works, rec, everything's going as it is at the moment as far as if you need to access any of our department heads or workers. Our parks are open at the moment, but you know, this is a daily, hourly type situation as we evaluate. And I did issue a press release that will be, it's on our City of Fayetteville Facebook page. It's on our city website. It'll be in the Elk Valley Times tomorrow. As far as the stance of the city, of course, we want, like everybody here, we want to go back to life as normal as soon as possible. But as Dr. Haight stated, you know, we have to take all the precautions necessary and do what we can. Mayor Newman and I are working together, and we'll continue to work together through this. And we're being informed by Doug Campbell at our Emergency Management Agency. There's a conference call again this afternoon with the Tennessee Department of Health and the Tennessee Department of Management as far as what the updates from the state are. I will go ahead and say that Mr. Collins met with Dr. Wilson right before we came over here, and we concur that the city school system is closed through April 3rd, come back on the 6th. For the K through 6 teachers, they are preparing packets for the students for work until that time frame that can be picked up a week from next Tuesday. And in regards to meals at the moment, I'm sure Dr. Wilson will have a formal announcement, but they do plan on, for those children that need, being able to provide a lunch and a snack every day through that period that's closed. So as I mentioned, these are the things we're doing. We're constantly evaluating. I will state that our meeting schedule, which is in April, our committee meetings that start on the beginning of April 3rd, work session, everything is still in place at the moment, but we'll evaluate in a couple weeks. If something's different, we'll let the public know what our changes are. Thank you.
Any question for Mayor Wisnat?
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Let me go over a few things on procedure, then we'll open it up for any questions, anybody. I want to give you the hotline, the coronavirus hotline. This is probably the first step if you've got questions about anything far as the health part of this situation. That number is, and I'll repeat it several times, 1-877-857-2945. Once again, 1-877-857-2945. Once you call in that number, you might have to wait a little while, but you'll go through a procedure that they will tell you the next step for anyone that is sick or has questions about it. Also, the number at our health department, let me give you that number also. It's a 433-3231, 433-3231. That's a 931 area code. To go over a few of the things, all county buildings are open and will be open until further notification. One suggestion, please call when a phone call will take care of your business, no matter what department it is. If you do not know the phone number, call our office, and I'll give you that number. Call the mayor's office, and we will direct your call or get you the answer when a call will do in place of a trip. And our number is 931-433-3045. 433-3045, and then when you're asked, press 1. That will ring directly into our office, and we will direct the calls or get you an answer. Also, the county commission meeting scheduled for tomorrow night is postponed. And one of the things that we've mentioned to other people, please be courteous, please be careful, and take care of your neighbors. There's a lot of times, that when there's been a storm or something in a particular area of our county, we will rush to it, but this affects all of us. So it's not in one geographical area. So the people in need are throughout our county, our state, and our country. And one thing that I know, and I think our county knows, is prayer works. And we need to pray for those people that are in circumstances that are a little tough right now, but pray for our whole country, and especially our state and county, Tennessee and Lincoln County, for the things that we need will be provided, and that this will be over in a short period of time. At this time, I'll answer any questions you might have. If not, I appreciate your attendance, and we will be planning for a scheduled update tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Thank you.